Alrighty, welcome to another episode of the One Last Cast podcast. My name is Jonathan, and as always, we have Merrill Solesky here. Say hi, Merrill. Oh, I think you're muted.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Technical difficulty
I
right off the
forgot I was
bat.
on mute. All right, I didn't know. I forgot I was on mute.
So, yeah, I think I know we've been kind of haven't been on a regular schedule, and that's kind of our fault. We've been busy. Merrill's been running around doing his house stuff over in Corpus. I've been busy with work and life, but we are back at it today, and I think today is going to be a very good episode. We have Kyle Manak; he's backstage right now, but we're going to talk to him about a lot of his tournaments and his lures and all that stuff. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to our sponsors. Dirty South Kayak Anglers is our Facebook group. If you are looking for an awesome group to be a part of to talk fishing and kayaking here on the Texas coast, go ahead and give that one a look. Go on Facebook and search Dirty South Kayak Anglers or DSKA. It should pop up there. Also, 4A Printing. Aaron, I am so sorry. I've been trying to I've been meaning to find time to go pick up our towels. We could place a towel order with him, and we have those on the way. But he is your go-to guy for custom towels like we have, also buffs, anything custom that you can think of. He can probably do it. Just give him a shout out. 4A Printing. Also, Knocking Tail Lures. If you go to the website knockingtaillures.com, you can find my favorite, and also Merrill, I know you've been using them too. Favorite soft plastics. Awesome for trout, redfish, flounder. Been using it through the Galveston Redfish series, and they've been doing great. And they have their 5 inch, their 4 inch, and I believe the 3 1/4 inch. Yeah, so three and a quarter, 4 inch, and 5 inch. And they have the internal rattle in the tail. It's just really, really good on those trout, redfish, and flounder. So give them a look. Um, so generally, we go into the story. Merrill, do you mind if I kind of take this one this time?
Yeah, yeah, go
Yeah.
for it.
So a couple weeks ago, we did round two of the Galveston Redfish series. So this year, I've been really trying to get a concerted effort into fishing these redfish tournaments, just because there's no trout tournaments anywhere, at least around here. So, uh, so I've been doing these redfish tournaments, and as I've been telling everybody, I'm not a redfish guy. I'm a trout guy. I catch redfish and flounder on accident when I'm fishing for trout, um, and it's been tough to be honest. Our practice days, we actually do pretty good, but then whenever it actually comes to tournament, it's just horrible and difficult. Um, and this last round was so tough. We were in the right spot, right time. I say right spot, right time, but it wasn't the right spot, right time because obviously we didn't catch anything
Right,
right off the bat. They were there, it's just we couldn't get them to bite, and it was like that, all around. Of course, there's these hard veteran season guys who were they caught 3 fish all day, but it was the right 2 fish they needed, so it didn't matter.
right.
But for us, it was just hard. And towards the midday, the tide was barely moving and kind of giving up hope. And then my partner Jake, he ended up getting like, you know, it wasn't a big redfish. It was like a 26 incher, maybe about 5 pounds, but it had like 6, 7 spots on it. So we're like, okay, worst case, we're gonna come in and have be in contention for the spot side pot. Get something out of it.
Right.
We fished the rest of the day, couldn't find any more fish, and it was horrible. And along the way out, we were going through and we kind of like had to go through a patch of oyster, and unfortunately our side pot winning redfish would have been it just popped off.
Oh,
It just came off the stringer. Um and it was horrible. So
jeez, that hurt.
yeah,
That one
like
hurts the most, right? Knowing that
yeah,
you just lost money.
yeah. It would have gotten first, so we missed out on $250 right there.
Oh,
And
that's
it's
big
just
money.
that yeah.
I don't even
It,
think that's worth what you spend on gas and
No, no,
and
it's not, but
effort.
it's
No,
something, it's
right,
something.
right,
And so, like, I remember we got out to the main channel, and we were kinda getting ourselves situated to make our cross, across the channel, and, because there's barges and boats coming in and out, and he was just checking his stringer, and he realized, it's like, "Oh, shoot, but the redfish is gone. I'm like, what do you mean gone? It's like on your stringer, and he just pulled up his empty stringer. I'm like, what the heck happened?
Oh, what kind of stringer was it?
It was I don't know. It's one of those clip stringers. So you clip the redfish on it.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't use those. That's
Yeah.
happened
Well.
to me. That's happened to me where like there's some you could clip them on the right part and somehow it just like rips through the
Yeah.
lip.
Yeah. I don't know what happened, and he later he told me he did throw it away when he got home. So.
That's the right thing to do.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my story, and hopefully, I think the next Galveston Retro Series is going to be on June something, early June, and hopefully we do better there. But enough about that. I really want to get into talking to our guest today. So again, Kyle Manak, he actually runs his own tournaments, and I'm excited to talk to him about that because there's a lot of things that go into it that we, as regular everyday people, we don't really realize. And also, he runs his own. He makes his own lures, and I'm really excited to see some of the stuff that he has. So, without further ado, let's just give him his own introduction. Let him introduce himself. Here is Kyle. How's it going, Kyle?
Hey, thanks for having me, y'all. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So, Kyle, how about we just give everybody a kind of if you had a elevator pitch about yourself, what would it be?
I'll make it quick and simple. I'm actually from the Corpus Christi area, so salt water runs in my veins as well. I went to high school there. I mean, that's how I know that area very well. I lived there for quite a while. Went to King High School. Merriel probably knows where that's at.
Yeah.
And then I moved to New Braunfels before I lived.
That's where all the rich kids lived.
No, Carroll, man.
I'm over there. Yeah, I'm way over there in Miller. You know what I mean?
But yeah, I've been around the saltwater pretty much for a long time. My dad and mom used to take me fishing there, and yeah, now I'm in New Braunfels. I'm 2.5 hours away from saltwater, but it's not that far of a trip. So
I don't know. I hate driving, so 2.5 it's too long for me.
No, it's easy.
When you're motivated, right? When you're motivated, it's
but the thing is, I'm not, with the kids now doing soccer and everything, it's hard to get down there now to fish. So
yeah,
what better way to do it besides make lures and host tournaments to give me a reason to get down there, right?
Oh yeah. So actually,
you're doing a great job, by the way, dude. Like, so I follow you a lot. Sometimes I don't comment, but
yeah,
I'll love your post or I'll like your post or shoot you a little quick joke. But also, thank you for participating on our podcast as well.
Of course,
we really appreciate that, and I've been trying to get you on since last year. So you're a busy man, so I'm glad to get you on, bud.
Yeah,
thanks for having me, man.
By the way, for those of you listening out there, we are live. We try to be live every other Tuesday. I know right now we're recording Thursday because that's when we could fit this into our schedule. But we try to be live every other Tuesday. You can find us live at facebook.com/One Last Cast podcast, or we're also on YouTube as well. So you can find us there and just give our Facebook page a like and follow. That way you can find out when our next live shows are going on. You can participate and comment, and we'll, if you have questions, we can always answer them on the fly. But actually, that's a good segue into talking about those tournaments. So. Yeah, let's just how about give another short little thing about what your tournaments, what tournaments you run and how those go, and then we can go into what does it take to run these tournaments?
We know it's not easy because I think both of us actually. You've also helped host tournaments, right, Jonathan?
Yeah.
I haven't hosted any tournaments.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, okay.
I did an online tournament one time, and it was just too much work, so I gave up on it.
Yeah, so you understand. Yeah. So I help host a couple tournaments, and there's so much work that goes into these tournaments, and for you to be successful. So I'll kind of give it a background. For you to be successful at doing this, and all the work and all the effort, and some people just think, oh, you pop up a tent, throw some money in, but they don't realize that goes into the weigh station. Where is people going to park? How's it going to direct? How's it going to flow in a way that everything makes sense, right? So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into hosting a tournament than what people think. And to be successful at it and continue to keep doing these tournaments, that says a lot. So, go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, and I mean, you want to do these tournaments and make it as easy as possible for the anglers and not have any frustration. They want to come in, weigh their fish, and get out. And then wait for the results. So, I mean, if you're anywhere in that area and you're oh, you don't have the right person, at this station, so they're waiting to have fish measured. Then you got someone taking the actual weights. You got to have all the people in the right place. So I mean, and with that, Chris Skinner's one of the admins. My cousin Nathan's one of the admins. And Tammy's an admin. Morset, I don't know if y'all have had them on the show
Yes,
yet.
yes. We love her. She's a very active
Yeah,
fisherman, and she's very active.
yeah. So I mean, having all of them at the right place at the right time, But I'll kind of start. We started KFT probably 4 or 5 years ago, and it was more of a kind of just getting people together and let's host a little tournament, right? And then they got bigger and bigger and bigger. So I started at one time we were doing 2 freshwater and 2 saltwater. Um, it was a lot. I'll be honest with you, it was overwhelming for me at times. I love to fish and I love to host them because I like seeing the competition. I like everybody getting together. Some of the funner parts is before the tournaments. The night before, you're all camping, you're hanging out, you're drinking, you're shooting the shit with everybody. I don't know if I can cuss on here. Sorry. But you're having a good time, and everybody's hanging out, and it's like a family kind of atmosphere to where, everybody's just having a good time. The next day, everybody's getting out there on the lake, on the salt, fishing, and then the next day we turn in, your fish, and it's pretty much that. But I'll be honest with you now, it's gotten so much to where I reduced it to just 2 tournaments a year. Because I'll be honest with you, I want to fish some tournaments, and it's kind of taken me out of that as well. Even some of the admins, they fish a lot of tournaments. So I don't want to take everybody out of that with something they love to do. So we kind of just did, like this year, we're only doing 2 salt. Last year I did all 4 of them, but it was overwhelming because, like you said, when it goes into tournaments, you got to find the location. You got to make sure it's available wherever you're going. Is there a pavilion there that you're going to need to use? Is the parking going to be enough for everybody to, to get to? The sponsors, we have a ton of sponsors. Without them, I couldn't do any tournaments. And if you want to check out them, they're also on our page. But yeah, it's contacting them. It's always having that, communication between your sponsors and be like, hey, this is what's going on. What can we do here and there? And then I'll try to rotate them. So I'm not always going to the same sponsors all the time. Right. I don't want them to think, hey, I feel like I'm bothering them at times. But
no, definitely not. That you're promoting, dude.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of stuff that I use came from like fishing tournaments and like one of these pink and gold Bass Assassins that I use was one of the original Lone Star kayaks. I got a bag in there and I used them. I was like, dude, I love these things, right? Yeah. So a lot of those things I get from tournament sponsors. So you're really promoting. And I went out and I probably bought me since then like 12 packs. Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't have known if somebody put it in my hand. Yeah. So yeah, no, sponsors definitely get a good kickback from that.
Yeah. And, we invite them out every tournament, definitely, Jim Jack from 3JD Lures came out to our last one. And, for the anglers to see the sponsors and actually meet them, it was fantastic, and they love that kind of stuff. So it was great, and then we're very blessed to have the Hook and Ladder Brew Pub in Aransas Pass. My cousin runs that bar, and I always have a place to host a tournament. Parking's great. Music and the food and the beer is great. So that's why I host a lot of them out of that Hook and Ladder spot.
Oh, food's always a plus at a tournament, Yes. Everybody comes back hungry, starving, getting beat. Like 9 out of 10 times, a tournament day, the wind is blowing 15 plus. Yes, 15 to 30. And everybody's beat. You see them come in with mud all over them, and especially these redfish tournaments, right? Because they get back there real skinny, and these guys come back looking beat. I know I've been one of those guys coming back where my pants are all starched from the salt water. Yeah. But I mean,
yeah, it's a fun time, but like I said, I do it because I love watching it and I love everybody getting together and have, a good competition. And I don't want it to get to a point to where it's not fun, the kind of family oriented kind of thing where everybody has a good time. I don't want it just all competition and nobody talks to each other. And that's not what I'm trying to do. So, and I kind of found out I stopped doing some of the freshwater tournaments. I'll be honest with you. There is a ton of them. They're every single weekend. And to plan them, I'm having to check everybody else's schedule. to make sure I'm not on there.
We don't mention freshwater on this.
Yeah, I know. I was
No, we do. We talk freshwater here and there.
Freshwater, what's that? You know?
Yeah.
So
I want to rinse my reels with.
I don't do them anymore, but the main reason is because there's so many. You know, and I'm doing it for fun. You know, I'm not trying to do it to have the best tournament, you know, series there is. It's fun for us. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, you know, I'm not going to compete every weekend with another tournament and upset somebody because I'm on their same weekend. Whereas salt, most everybody loves salt. So
it's the same group of people too,
yeah,
right? We're all salty people. We all like you know, you get the same group.
Yes.
But I'm gonna ask you a little tough question here.
Yeah.
Like, how do you deal with the people that don't like your rules that you do in your tournament? Like, do you adjust? I know some people, like some tournament directors, sometimes they'll tweak the rules a little bit to cater some people. And have you ever had a situation where you had to deal with a cheater, right? You don't have to answer that last question. That is just because there's a group of guys that got caught cheating with weights in their stomach at Wild Out tournament.
Yeah.
And no telling how many tournaments they've cheated on before. I know I made a post about it, but it's one of those things that there's honest people out there. I have an opinion about it. I don't like. I felt like the punishment wasn't harsh enough, and that's my opinion. I know that's my opinion. I feel like it should have been a little bit more harsher because people are. My opinion is that people put in a lot of, you know, their time and effort and their money into it. Maybe the money's not big, right? But it's that I want to fish a fair opportunity, and those guys took the fairness out of it, you know?
Yes.
And, you know, go ahead.
I mean, honestly, we have the pre-captains meeting the day before the tournament. I'll go live, you know, on a Wednesday before, you know, that Friday and that weekend of the tournament. And I mean, it's just, the rules are there. I'm going to go over it twice. You're either going to understand it. I mean, I'm not trying to be, you know, an ass about it, but you're going to understand it. And you're going to, if you don't, you're going to get with us and make sure you're clear of it. That's why we do that last, you know, Friday night. Any questions? If you're unsure of something, you need to ask that question. Now, if something gets out of this, like in a situation where maybe somebody saw somebody doing something, maybe they took off too early, you know, they're supposed to leave at 6:30. They're leaving at 6:15. I'm going to call that person. Most of them I know, and I'm going to ask them. And either they're going to be straight with me or not. But if it gets into a situation where I find out, you know, they cheated or whatever, they're done. They're gone. You know, this is a friendly thing. This is a family thing. And you're right. Payouts may be first place. I think we've gotten to like 1,600 at one time, which is a lot of money to me. But it's the whole concept of the cheating part, right?
Yeah.
So if you're caught cheating and I call you out on it, I ask you about it, and you still, I don't know what you're talking. We're having fun. I don't have time for it.
Right.
So, I mean, and it sucks because it could be a good friend of yours, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So either you can't worry about hurting somebody's feelings because, sorry, you made the choice to do that.
Right.
So, yeah, we can hang out outside, but as far as tournament.
And I think also like I also think like the community is such a tight knit community anyways. Yeah. If something happens and it gets out, I think that's even worse than you calling them out on it. We're such a small community. I wouldn't say small. We're such a tight knit community that just even that getting out, that's just worse. So
basically, Kyle, you don't change the rules for anybody. You keep them. This is it. And that, whether you like it or not, you can fish it or you don't fish it. And have you ever encountered a cheating situation where they were at least honest with it and they didn't know? Because I know this has happened to a close friend of mine, and he's been bashed and thrown in the mud and everything, but he didn't lie about it, right? They asked him about it. He, you know, and he admitted, like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I missed that part, whatever. I know he fished another tournament where a guy was like, he used Procure, right? And it said no fit, like somewhere down the line, there's something, no fish added products or sent. Well, it just so happens that Procure had that in there, and shit, I didn't even know that, right? I know everybody was like, what the fuck? We didn't even know that, right?
Exactly.
And it's like, it happens, right? We didn't use Procure, but I mean, I didn't know, and he didn't know, obviously, and he admitted to it, and that happens, right? And people people shouldn't, like, on the other end of the spectrum, right? People shouldn't bash people about the story they don't know 100%. I think sometimes they get this negative thing, like where everybody just jumps on the train on this bashing this person.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you don't even know the full story, right?
Yep.
The dude agreed to it. He admitted to it, and it's one of those situations that shit. And I didn't button up my fucking PFD because I couldn't breathe that good. You know what I mean? Like what? Like really? Like there's some things where it's just, and I'm going on the opposite end of the spectrum to let you know that there's some things that I don't really consider like those are big issues, right? Have you ever had to deal with one of those little issues, like maybe shit, I got like down the canal, my fucking 360 light died, right?
Yeah.
Shit, you know what I mean? And somebody, oh, you're cheating, you didn't have a 360 light. Do you ever come across situations like that and you're like, come on, dude, like really?
So if you do, and there has been one time, honestly, out of as many tournaments that we've done, and there's been a couple times, I did a freshwater tournament where I had a guy, the night before hey, you have the identifier on your hand, right? We say it 5 million times. The next morning, I'll call it out again right before lunchtime before they leave. The guy wrote the wrong identifier down, right? So he catches this 20-inch bass, and then I'm like, I can't accept it. Your identifier is wrong. I said, the identifier is this. To this day, that guy still bashes me. He says, I don't know how to run tournaments. So no matter what happens, you're going to have haters. When you're a tournament director, you're going to have people, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. But you know what? If you really look down to it, all he had to do is read the rules and listen to what we said.
Right.
He was the only one that did not have the right identifier on his hand. So, that's one circumstance. But as far as saltwater, I've had one. And most of the time when you hear that people have cheated, other people are out there watching you. When you're out there fishing and you're fishing a tournament and you're thinking of doing that, I guarantee you there's people out there. Somebody knows where you launch. Somebody is in that area. You're going to get caught no matter what. So I had a guy call me saying, hey, I noticed one of the anglers, I have a rule. If you're going to wade fish, you need to have your kayak tethered to you. It's real simple. You can wade all day long, just have your kayak tethered to you somewhere to where, it's next to you. And he got out there and was like, hey, this person doesn't have their kayak tethered to them. They're waiting 50 yards from their kayak. That's one of the rules, obviously, that, why isn't it to your kayak? Why aren't you tethered to your kayak? So I had this guy's number. And I said, hey, man, do you know the rules about the wade fishing? And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, your kayak, is it tethered to you right now? He goes, I had no idea. So it's one of those situations. Technically, they think he's cheating right away. Yes, he didn't read the rules.
Right.
But do you bash this guy because he didn't read the rules and he's been at every tournament and never had a situation before?
Right.
It's a tough call, but I made that call. I talked to him. I said it needs to be tethered. There's no questions asked.
Right.
And then it's not been an issue since. And that's what he loves to do.
Right.
So
it's a teaching moment.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
But now when you get in these bigger situations where,
like he's a cheater and, this and that, like, come on,
Yeah. But I always tell people, if you think you're going to try to do something like that, there's people everywhere.
Right.
People are going to see you, and there's times I'll send Chris out or somebody and, hey, go drive around. Where a lot of people are fishing, especially in Aransas Pass, that
there's not much places that.
Yeah. South Bay, Lighthouse Trails, you got Brown and Root. You can see a lot of people right there, just from the road. So it's just rules are rules. And it's follow them. And most of, our anglers that fish our tournaments, they know it. And it's not worth getting called out in front of a bunch of friends and, family now. A lot of us are family, getting caught cheating because it's going to be a horrible situation for you. You're not going to fish any of our tournaments anymore. Right. And word of mouth goes a long way. So
right. Yep. And another good thing is keeping the rule. One of the things I like Saltwater Survival Series is a tournament that I really like fishing. They keep the rules the same, right? Yep. And that's a good thing because I know those rules, right? So I fished that tournament before. I've been over the rules, and when you keep the rules the same, it's like I know when I go fishing the tournament, I know the rules.
That's what it is.
They might change the trout one, but that's because we changed the trout one across the coast, right? You get that Texas Park and Wildlife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but it's just, as far as that, I haven't really known them to change any rules. You know, and it's good. I like it when people keep the rules the same. It's easier to fish those tournaments when you know those rules.
Yeah, because we keep it the same. If we change anything, it's like a side pot kind of thing. You know, we may go from flounder to we've done trash fish in the past, you know, and I do it just to get more people out there. You know, there's some people that just want to go fishing and they're like, hey, trash fish, okay, I'll take it. I'll catch a big hardhead and they can win $200, you know?
Yeah, that make it fun, right? Yeah, that makes it fun. I never even thought about that. That's fun.
Yeah. So, and you know,
Merrill's salivating at that.
Oh yeah, like
hardhead
man,
spot.
I already know where to catch the gap top at, buddy. I just know where the
man,
big
we've
gap
got some
top
great
head
trash
gap.
fish come in from, I mean, huge hardheads, all kinds of random stuff. It's funny to see what people come in and they're like sitting there. They'll win a reel and $200 and they caught a hardhead. Right. It's great.
Yeah, that's a good rule. Hear that, Daniel? Let's get some trash fish on that.
Yeah. It just mixes it up. I like to do it to where, you know, and I think one time we did sheephead as well. And I did it when the sheephead are running. So maybe, you know, that's what somebody wants to sit there and drop live bait and catch a big sheephead. Do your thing, man. Go for it.
Cool.
So,
yeah. So I guess, you know, from a tournament perspective, what is the most difficult part of running a tournament? Because for me, the setup. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Like personally, when I think about it, for me, it's I love fishing, and you know, if I were to put the energy into creating a tournament, it's like I want to fish that tournament, but also I don't think it's kind of ethical for me as a tournament director to fish my own tournament. But the setup, you're saying the setup is the most difficult part?
Yeah, because I mean, you think about it, we have one coming up in August. You know, we had the last one was the second week in March, I think it was. You know, and it's just making sure, like I said, luckily I do a lot in Aransas Pass because of the hook and ladder. I know I have a location, making them aware of that you know, when we're having it, you know, when's the pre-party for the meeting, you know, and then they want to be aware, hey, this is how many people we may have, because they got to adjust their staff, right, to make sure everybody's taken care of. They're not running behind, because you're right. When they get off that water, they're hungry. They want to eat. They want cold beer, and they're ready. So, you know, Hook and Ladder's done an outstanding job. As soon as people start showing up, we're there. But like I said, the setup. So, yeah, location, getting a hold of your sponsors, making sure you have the prizes. And I pride myself on our events because nobody leaves with anything. If we do, even the winners, even we do the raffle at the end, if you don't get anything, I always have that extra box. You're going to leave with stuff. So we make sure people will leave with stuff. And like you said, it is promoting for the sponsors. And, you know, all that stuff we give away, I guarantee you a lot of these lure companies that sponsor us, they've got all these people from KFT. And that's what we want to do is help them. They help us. So they're getting all these members from KFT blowing them up saying, hey, I like these lures. You know, what can I do now? How do I get them? So hopefully it's kind of done a full 360 there and everybody's, you know, it's helping everybody. But so yeah, then you get location, food, your sponsors. Then you got to make sure, you know, you got to collect money prior to that, you know, when people start registering, make sure everybody's paid, write all that down, write what side pots they're in, you know, are they just doing the stringer itself? Then you get into that. And then of course, you know, the actual day of the tournament, setting everything up, making sure you have the scale ready. Cause I want to make sure when people show up at that scale, their fish are measured, weighed, and they can go back. Because a lot of times they may come weigh in, go home, take a nap, and then come back at the, you know, the award ceremony. So it's a lot, but it's so much fun to do it. But you're right as far as fishing the tournament. There's so many times I'm like, man, I'm here. I want to fish this tournament, but I'll never.
Or you think you could beat the fish. You're like, man, I could beat this fish.
Yeah.
You actually fish it and you like suck. You're like, oh, reality check, I suck.
Especially when you're in an area. I'm super comfortable with the Aransas Pass area and that Port Aransas area. I mean, I fished it forever, and I'm just like, God, I know where I want to go. I know where I want to go. And
I like the Brown and Root flat, man.
Yeah.
That spot right there has been so. I've taken clients out there, and every single time, like it's not the same spot in the Brown. You got to move around that flat, but she tells you everything you need to see, right? If you're looking in the right spots, the right areas, you know certain areas that have certain stuff. And you just look over and they're right there. And then let's go. You know, that's been a good spot.
I love that clear water. And that Brown and Root is one of my favorites, along with South Bay. You know, you could fish a tournament, everybody, well, the fish have been here, but you know, 99% of the time I'm going to the spot that I'm most comfortable with and I know very well. I may not catch the winning stringer or whatever, but I'm confident with it, so I'll keep going to those spots. But yeah,
We got
I saw
a
a
question.
question.
Yeah. We got a question from Aaron on our
Yeah,
chat. Which, by the way, if you want to join, we're live every other Tuesday. We're trying to be, and you can join us at facebook.com/One Last Cast Podcast or on YouTube. Search for One Last Cast Podcast, and there you can find our channel there. But Aaron asked, "Do you have your scales calibrated prior to the tournament?"
we sure do, and I'm going to send a shout out to y'all know Shimano Pin from Fanatic, right?
Yep.
So
Yes.
he sends me his scale, his tripods, and everything. So I mean, if that guy doesn't have it right, nobody's going to have it right. So yes, but he gets those calibrated. He uses them all the time for his tournaments. I do eventually need to build one of those tripods though that he has and get my own scale and stuff. But I always use it from him, and then we kind of promote what him letting us use that and getting his name out there. So definitely, Aaron.
That's good. Yeah, I know I did the scales for Daniel, and we calibrate them right before right before we start. We calibrate it, so that's one of the things we do when I'm with Daniel.
And my biggest thing too is when I'm gonna tell you, every time I have that angler that comes up turning fish, they're gonna see me measure them, and they're gonna see me weigh them. And when that final weight comes on there, they're gonna be able to see it. It's not one of these things, they're not gonna see any of this. I mean, I owe it to them. I have nothing to hide, so they're gonna see everything as far as weight and measurement. So.
Right. Oh yeah, I've seen that. Right. So that was a good comment, because some of these guys, you just put your stuff in this mysterious basket, and then the weight pops up on the other end, kind of like I like to see from A to B. That help out. Who knows? You could drop that buddy on the dirt real quick, get some weight on him, and put him on the scale for your bud.
That's right. So yeah, I mean, the thing and the key to it is just make it simple, make it to where they know everything that's going on. And they'll keep coming back and have good tournaments. I mean, that's all it is. It sounds tough, but when you do it over and over, and don't get me wrong, the experience that we've gained over the years by doing it has helped us get where we are. It's that simple. We learn something new every time, and something. What could we have done better? But this last tournament we did, it went so smooth that I felt like we've been doing it for years. No issues.
Yeah.
Payouts came right away. It was perfect, and that's exactly what I want them to be. So
your payouts didn't take several months later.
No, so I get everything on.
So there was a tournament out there that some people didn't get paid. I'm not here to gossip what tournament that was. Some people didn't get paid, and some people waited like 3 months just to get paid half.
Man, I don't want that money sitting in my Venmo or Cash App. I'll be honest with you. I want it out, and it may be the next day where I get you paid, but it sits in Venmo and Cash App, and it goes straight to you. It's that simple. We don't have to handle cash, and you get paid out. Most everybody has that, Cash App or Venmo. So,
yeah.
So, from another tournament questions that I have would be, since you've done this for a while, what is the most rewarding experience that you've had running these tournaments?
Seeing people that never thought they would catch fish out of a kayak turn in fish and get money. Sitting there thinking them not having that confidence to sit there and, hey, man, I'm gonna go out there, I ain't gonna catch blah blah blah, and I'm sitting here calling your name up to the podium. It's like, and then they get confident. Some of them get a little cocky, but it's great. It's part of it, man. It's part of seeing those people like get their confidence level, and now what do? They fish all the tournaments. So it brings them out of their shell. But yeah, most of all, and seeing different people that have never done it get in there for the first time and say, man, this is great. This is a good time. I'll be back next time. It's that simple.
And I also noticed your tournaments are at such a sweet, I say sweet, but a sweet price point where like you're not going broke fishing it, right? So if you lose a little bit of money, it's not going to hurt you. It's just right. And then you sometimes with enough people, these are big cash, and you make some good decent money.
Yeah.
And you got a fairly good price point on your tournament.
$50 buy-in is your most, what most of our tournaments are. And then if you want to do a side pot, it's $10, so it's like you said, it's not going to break the bank. You're not going to make $20,000 off a win, but it's not what it's really about. It's you're winning a bunch of money and you're going to win a bunch of prizes. You may win that next reel that helps you in the next tournament. But I mean, it's simple. It's to get people that don't want to pay this $100, $200 to fish these tournaments. So we're like, hey, man, I'm starting to get comfortable. And then now some of them are fishing some of these big tournaments. So it's good, man. If it helps them along the way, hey, at least I was part of it. And now they're fishing the big dogs.
Remember the little guys? Right. Hey, remember us little guys?
You know, and because I want to do it too, you know, I just haven't had time to fish some of those tournaments, you know, and it's like, I'm ready to start doing that. So that's why I only did 2 this year. You know, I'd like to get over to Galveston and do some of Daniel's tournaments, but it's hard. It's hard to get over there.
Yeah.
I think we did once, right, Merriel? You fished one of the tournaments.
Yes. Yeah, I fished one of your tournaments, yes.
That was the only one we did in that area, but it's just because it's hard.
Yep. And actually this year I wanted to fish your tournament, but it lined up with the first Redfish Series one.
I was going to say, yeah, it was. Yeah. I remember, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard to get around other schedules, but you know, if you're a tournament director and you sit there and you're like, man, they all showed up at the one. Get over it. It's if I get 20 people, I don't care. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys always the pictures y'all take, and then everybody's smiling, having a good time. It's always a good picture when I see you guys, and it always looks like y'all are having a good time, having fun, and everybody's having fun, right?
Yeah. And then I also tell them, you know, if there's something that you want something different in the next tournament, or you didn't like how, you got to give it to me. You got to give me that feedback, because otherwise, you know, the next tournament, and then you're all of a sudden you're running your mouth. I mean, I don't know these things until, hey, I'm open to ideas. I'm open to changing stuff, but you got to just let us know. It's pretty simple.
Okay. I'm going to say it for Merrill. He wants the gap top division. Just gap
top.
I
can do it. Yeah. Hey, we can do that next tournament.
I want a gap top division. I know where they hang out.
Artificial only. Hey,
and I'll catch them on artificial. Those suckers eat anything and everything.
A hard head trophy. I mean, what else do you want?
Oh man, that would look nice on a mantle, right there, with the fins out and everything. You know,
I'll send you a picture of the last one we did. So yeah, it was. I got Joe Ingram out of Yorktown makes all my trophies. He's with Southern Steel, man. He does an amazing job. So.
I have the big one. I still have it, you know. Yeah. So it's a nice trophy. It's pretty cool.
Yep. I did forget that. Daniel did say he would hate ruining the scales for that, because it's just be covered in slime and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why you gotta be so picky, Daniel? Jeez.
You know, we do
gap top lives matter.
We do split it up. So I'll have one guy doing scales, and then I'll usually have Chris doing the scale and the measuring, and then I'll sit there and write the totals. So, but it's. As long as you have a good system down, it'll go smooth.
Yeah. Well, I know we probably could talk tournaments for a while, but I really wanted to get into.
I was going to say the lure.
Right? Your KBM lure. So kind of tell us about. I know that's a horrible segue, but we're going to talk about KBM lures, because right before we came on, you showed me some of your samples that you had.
Yeah.
And that shrimp one looked amazing. So let's just talk about your KBM lures. How do they come about? What you have and how are they made, and let's go through that process.
So
and what kind of action do you recommend with?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you flat out, I'm a topwater guy all day long. Like, we could be fishing all day long, and I'm one of those guys. I'll throw it, even though there may be a time where it's done. But I always know there's gonna be that one bite and that one fish that hits it. It's gonna be a winner. So I like making topwaters. One of my biggest selling topwater is the topwaters, along with wake baits. But we started KBM lures, and actually my wife, if you look, she paints a lot of them. She painted some recently. Yeah, I mean, I got one here that she just did, and I was like, all right, now you're starting to make me look bad. This is for freshwater. I mean, she did that. I was like, really? Why you got to be all detailed? You know, she was sitting here with the legs and everything.
Oh yeah, look at the inside of the leg on that, and then
I mean, she was doing these, so she's been helping me out do a lot of these, and a lot of these I'll make just to kind of test it out, and we'll give them away. I do a lot of giveaways on the page, but kind of back to what, like I said, we've been doing this for 3 or 4 months now. It's one of those things that I'm not fishing all the time, but I love it so much that I was like, man, I've always wanted to paint lures. I actually started making plastics before I did anything, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. It just wasn't something I was interested in. So I actually sold all that. I got my first air sprayer, and man, I was addicted the first time I started painting lures. especially when it comes out exactly like you like it. And then when you give it to somebody and they're sending you pictures of them catching fish with it. There's nothing better than seeing somebody use your own lure that you made and they're sending you pictures. I can't even describe the feeling. And that's kind of why I'll do it. I mean, I'm not doing KBM to make a living. It's more of a sport and kind of thing that I love to do. So I probably give away a lot more than I probably should, but it's more of a hobby for me. So that's kind of why we created it. Like I said, my wife helps me do it. When I first started, it kind of got blown out to where I was like, holy cow, man, I'm getting orders left and right, which is a great thing to have. But I got one sprayer and I'm sitting in the garage doing this after work every day. It's still something I love, but it was getting overwhelming. You know, I got into Deer Park Outdoors was my first store that I got into. I'm in Prospects and Sealy. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? You know, I wasn't expecting all this, but it's been great because now I'm hearing people buy this stuff and they're fishing with it and they're sending me pictures. I mean, and I'm going to keep doing it. It's just, if I can put you on fish by making a lure for you, let's roll. You know, I'm not trying to make a living out of it, but if you're catching fish and, you know, I charge $10 for most of my custom lures, unless it's one of those damn grasshoppers where you're painting the legs. I'll let the wife decide on that price. But, yeah, I mean, I think I'm one of the cheapest when it comes to selling them, but I'm not trying to make a killing or become a millionaire off these lures either. But yeah, we've been doing it for 3 or 4 months now. I've been in 2 stores, and then I've got guides using my lures. That's kind of cool to see. And we'll just continue to see where it goes from here, man.
I think that falls in line with the same thing that for tournaments where you enjoy seeing people like, I'm not going to win anything. They win money. And it's the same thing with the lures. You know, they buy something from you and it helps them catch fish.
Yeah.
I think that kind of falls in the same thing. So
Yeah,
that's awesome.
definitely. You know, and there's a lot of, you know, other people out there, you know, I got good friends too, like Robert Rodriguez. He makes his own lures too, you know, and it's like, you could sit there and be, oh man, he's making the, but you know what? It's fun. If you sit there and get competitive with each other, which it is to a point, but I mean, to me, it's a fun thing, you know, talking smack to each other. Be like, hey man, he does a great job selling a lot of his, I think he calls them taco lures, and they catch reds out Calveras and Bronick. That's his thing. And it works, you know? So it's one of those things. What can I do similar to that? As far as like rattle trap or something like that and put people on fish, you know? So it's not it's a fun thing between the two of us. You don't want it to be like a competitive thing, you know, to where like we're talking smack about each other, and it's great. It's a great thing to have. So,
can you show, or
yeah.
I don't know if you want to show the shrimp, because that shrimp one looked awesome. So look
So
at
that
that.
is the first shrimp that I made. See if I can get you the eyes on it too.
Nice.
But that's bone. That's a bone shrimp that I made. It hasn't been tested yet. So I'm probably going to give these away. I got to 500 members on my page, and I did promise to give away some custom lures. So I'm going to give this one away. And then we got this one as well.
Oh, that's nice.
I'll tell you what, can you give me that one and the bone one? And I'll pay for it, and then we'll give it away to one of the guys listeing.
Okay.
I'll pay for one of each.
Man, no, I'll just give it to you, man. Don't worry about that.
No, I mean, I'm in a situation where I love to help you out, but
okay,
you don't have to give us anything. You know, I would appreciate it. I appreciate it, but I like to also help out your business as much as I can as well. Okay. So yeah, let me get 2 of those. 2 of those, 2 of each,
and just a couple others. I'll kind of show you. You know, I'm really big on the. Oh yeah, I didn't mention this. We're also with Coda Lures. He is a freshwater guy up in, I think he's up in Waco, Temple area. And I've been giving a lot of freshwater lures to him, which is kind of cool for high school tournaments and all that kind of stuff. So I'm waiting to see some pictures of that kind of stuff. You know, he's all crankbaits, jerk baits, stuff like that. But these are some of the other ones that I made for a guy for jetty fishing.
Ooh, poppers.
Yeah.
Those are money for jetties.
Yeah. So
those are so underrated here on the coast.
Yes, they are.
Especially at the quarter endless jetties. These things, when the jacks come in, the kingfish come in, and reds. These are money right here.
So we're not used to in Galveston for kingfish to come into our jetties like that. but in Aransas Pass, Corpus Christi area, kingfish love coming around the jetties.
Yep.
I've actually we're cruising there looking for cobia, at the edge. Sometimes cobia hang out, and I swear I saw a huge kingfish just skyrocket 30 feet in the air, and I was like, wow, they got kingfish here.
They're there.
Yeah, it was pretty cool scene. We have a question though.
Yeah.
Like, so if I wanted to buy your lures, like what would be a web page that, or how would I get those lures?
How I get everybody on there is that, you can get on to KBM Lures. We're on Facebook right now. That's kind of the main spot. You can kind of see everything. I'm on Instagram as well. Same thing. But send me a message right now, through Messenger. That's the easiest way. I even post sometimes on OfferUp just to I've got a lot of orders actually on that, which was kind of surprising. But reach out to me on Messenger. Tell me what you want. I had 2 orders recently for Father's Day, which was kind of cool. So I've got some lures going for that. But there's plenty of ways to get a hold of me, whether it be Facebook, Instagram. I even have it on TikTok. I do videos of the lures. I think that one's Texas Bourbon or something at TikTok. But I show them there as well. So reach out to me. Tell me what you want. If there's something that you've seen on the pictures that you want, I can do that. Or if there's something different, like, hey, I want red here, this in the middle, this, I can do that, as well. But I don't do, some of these guys that do these swim baits and they look just like a perch or a bluegill. I ain't that talented yet. So yeah. And that's not what I want to get into.
I was going to ask for like a fire tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can do a fire tiger shrimp, or not a shrimp, but a rattle trap and stuff. I do have the patterns for that. But, I'm trying all the time different stuff. Recently I had a guy asking for whopper ploppers, and I don't know if y'all know what those are.
Yes.
But I just did one of these.
Ooh.
And that's kind of like a frog kind of pattern whopper plopper. But I used to use these like crazy in freshwater for top.
They're good. Yeah.
So I started making these, and now he wants like 10 of them. So yeah.
Yeah, they make so much
noise.
They make on top of the water, like those are.
But really between all of them, I would say right now with salt, besides the top waters, the spooks, the 4-inch, the hunchbacks are definitely some of my better baits. And actually, this one is one my wife painted. She's done this one.
That one's pretty.
She's gotten really good at it, and she started to make me look bad. And then she starts adding glitter to some of them. I'm like, oh god. Man.
I think your wife is in the chat, and she says she specializes in glitter.
Yeah, nice. She does. She loves it. Yeah.
The hunchbacks is a really good redfish bait that a lot of people use in shallow waters, because it's one of those baits where if you don't know how to work a top water, it works itself.
Yep.
And it stays high in the water column. So if you got like maybe 6 inches or 3 inches of grass underneath it, and you want that redfish to come up, and you don't want to get all that grass, up in your top or your lure, that is one of the perfect baits to use for that situation.
And most of them do, like I said, the shrimp, it probably does kind of like a suspending, kind of like a jerk bait, if that makes sense. So, I mean, it's not going really deep, but it's going hopefully right above that. Like I said, I haven't tested them yet, but hopefully right above that grass line. But I'll find out next weekend. And actually, whoever wins these may find out before me. So I'm really anxious to see how these shrimp do. But as far as any of them that I do, most of them are top water, besides when you get into freshwater. You get into the rattle traps that I do, and then crankbaits. I do wake baits as well, the small wake baits. Pretty much anything you want, and I've had a lot of people ask what hooks I use. 99% of the time I use VMC, except owners sometimes will have some on sale, then I may switch up to them. Otherwise, owner is expensive.
Oh yeah.
So I stick with VMC, and they've done me very well. So
they hold good up to saltwater too, because I think the original hunchbacks, those I'm not bad. Well, I'll just be honest. Mm-hmm. Those are trash, dude. Those are trash hooks. I mean, I've lost a lot of fish with those.
And I'll alternate them too, to where you get the red hooks that I'll use with the VMC, and then the actual the silver.
Another thing with some of these baits, there's different sizes on these baits for a reason, and the reason why is, if you had two of the same hooks on there, it wouldn't work the same. So you got to you got to make sure that if you're replacing the hooks on these baits, that they're the same size, because they have it dialed in to maybe a 8 in the back and a 6 up front, or
that's right,
something like that.
And most of these baits, the hunchbacks, well, besides that big popper, I mean, it takes a bigger hook, but most of them are size 4. Then when you get in crankbaits and some of the smaller jerk baits, it goes to a 6. But a lot of times on hunchbacks too, I'll use the short shank on the hooks to where it makes it. I don't want the hooks at any time. They don't, obviously you don't want to hook each other, right, and get caught up. So I found that those short shank hooks on those hunchbacks work so much better. So, and why I know that, it's just, and that's one of those things, testing it, seeing how it works. Yeah, the regular longer hooks work. But once again, when you're fishing in that area where you have that grass, I catch less grass doing those short shanks than I do with those long ones.
And y'all have a lot of grass there. I think I'm going to drop a name here. Dean Thomas down there. I went to go check out his shop before he got it all fixed up and stuff.
Yeah.
And I seen all these line of top waters, and they all had single hooks on them. And I was like, man, why all your tops got single hooks, right?
Yeah.
Fished the area and realized why. I was like, oh.
Yeah, and that's something too that if you wanted those single hooks, I mean, it's not something I can easily do that as well. It's just, I'm going to give you with like KBM, I'm going to give you stuff that I know I've thrown and I believe in, besides the shrimp. I haven't done that one yet, but all these baits, the wake baits, the hunchbacks, the spooks. I even posted a picture on that 4-inch spook that I used, the bone color. It was fantastic because I could talk smack to Chris. Me and him went fishing that day. That's all I used was that bone spook the whole time. And he's throwing a heathen. I don't know how many lures that guy was chunking, and I already had a red on, a trout on, and he gets up next to me, goes, I'm going to drift with you. Next cast I catch another trout. Nice. He said, what the hell are you throwing? And then that was just great to say, man, KBM lures, man. It was a great trip to where all those fish, all 4 of those, decent sized reds were all top water on that one bone colored lure. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're kind of coming up on our time here, but I definitely want to give people, listeners, a chance to potentially enter your tournament. So when's your next event? What's your
I
series
believe
called?
the next tournament is in August. I want to say it's the second weekend in August, which is, let's see the calendar, but I'll post it. The main thing you can do is just definitely stay on the KFT page. Check it out every once in a while. I'll post when it gets closer. And then when it does get closer, you're going to see me go live and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to know when it is. But I know I posted under the event page on KFT. I was trying to see if I could find it real quick. But I know it's the second weekend in August. And I spread these out more to where before, man, we were having one every 2 months, if not sooner. But like I said, for me, it's overwhelming, and y'all see what it goes into it, and it was just too much at the time, especially with the kids in school and events now. So let me see if I can find that.
And I guess the other thing too for your lures, just again tell our listeners here how they can order from you and see what you have to offer as well.
Yeah, so like I said, you just KBM Lures on Facebook, where I'm working on a web page to get that done to where you can order from the page if you want. But I'm also working on getting my trademark done. So that's a lot of work too. It's a huge process, but reach out to me on Messenger. If you have, a lot of people have my number from past tournaments, send me a text, man, or find somebody that knows how to get a hold of me and I'll get it out to you. One of the things I will say, I'll get it out to you within a week. Most of my lures, but I'm going to tell you, I'm probably more detailed than I should be on some of them, because if I sit there and I spray it exactly how I want, the eyes are on how I want it, then I put epoxy on it. If it doesn't set exactly right, I had one little chip come out of it. And Chris, my buddy was like, dude, it's fine. What are you talking about? I'm redoing it. I'm not going to give you something that I'm not going to throw, or that I would be pissed if I got it. You'd be like, man, what is
so? Do you give like a discount for those?
Honestly, most of the ones, I thought about giving those away too, but I don't want to give something out that you're going to be like, well, man, it's got a chip in it. Because that's going to have, especially if it's your first time getting them, you're going to have that impression like, they're all right. But I have a box of in my tackle box in the little trays. I've got a box of ones that I wasn't happy with.
I know somebody that is willing to pay a discounted price for those chipped lures. And
I
he's
have them.
right. His name's Jonathan. He loves discounted lures. He will go broke on discounted lures.
I can hook you up on that because I've got some, or some that maybe the epoxy didn't sit right. There's some times where the epoxy, if you don't store it right, it'll get bubbles in it. And I was like, perfect lure. And all of a sudden, the epoxy settled in. There's bubbles on it. It doesn't affect it. It just doesn't look like I want it to look.
Mm-hmm.
I put it in my box. I'll throw them. I don't mind throwing them like that bone.
They're gonna mess it up anyways. Those fish are gonna tear it up anyways.
Yeah,
they're pre-warned, so
yeah,
that's right. So and the greatest example was that bone colored lure I used that day. That was one that the epoxy didn't set right. But now look at it. I mean, there's paint chips all over the thing. It looks like it's been ran over and everything. But I'm using that thing like crazy. So. But yeah, awesome. That's a good idea. I may need to start looking at that as far as, discounting any ones that have chips but I'm very detailed on it. If there's something I don't like on it, it's not going out.
It's the curse of a craftsman.
Yeah. And a lot of times I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, it's not that bad. It's like just a little, there's times too where I'll be doing it and I'll have a bug land on it. I'm like, really? And that little bug can affect the whole thing. So I might.
Sounds like a discount.
Yeah, seriously. Especially with bone. Bone color is the hardest lure to paint just because of the type of paint it is. I mean, it's an acrylic paint, but it doesn't go on smooth as some of I use mainly Kratex. I get this one off Lure Build, the bone colored, and you got to let it dry. I know at one time before I tried doing too much when it wasn't dried yet, and I'll never do it again. So you got to be patient with it. But you'll get your lures within a week. It takes 2 days to dry, and then I put the hooks and everything on and then ship them off. So
awesome.
You're going to send us a couple, and we'll give them away to a lucky listener. And
you
guys for listening and try out Kyle's lures.
Justin just posted it. Yes, that's it. August 12th. Thank you, Justin.
Yep. So the next tournament is August 12th. And looks like it's in Rockport. So go over to Kayak Fishing Texas, and you can find out more information there. Post up there, join the group, and also you can ask questions and find the rules. I'm sure they're over there as well.
So the good thing about Rockport though is I might purchase a little land out there. So if I do purchase it, we could all camp out on that little land that I bought.
Yeah.
And then we'll just camp out there and have some fun.
And most of that, what? This one may be different. I'm glad y'all brought that up because, like I said, most of them are at Hook and Ladder. But have y'all heard of Chandler's Landing as well? Y'all know where that's at?
I'm not as familiar with that area.
So we had one of our tournaments there last year. We had one of them there, and they're super cool people, and they reached out to me about having our last one there. So, but we'll keep you posted. It's a really cool place. Still in Aransas Pass. It's probably not even 3 or 4 minutes from Hook and Ladder as well. It's just Hook and Ladder has been so great to us. I try to support them as much as I can because anytime I have anything come up, we had the last year we had with Beverly, the tournament that was out of nowhere and didn't even have to ask. They're like, when you want it, when you want to be here, what do you need from us? So I will keep going to them, but I know Chandler's Landing reached out to us as well. So cool. I'm all about helping them out. So,
oh yeah. That's what like you said, that's what tournaments are all about.
Yeah.
Is helping the anglers, also helping the local community. So that's awesome. Well, we're running up on our time here. So before we hop off, definitely want to give another shout out to our sponsor, Dirty South Kayaking. There's another great group, DSK, if you want to go search that on Facebook, along with Kayak Fishing Texas. Very similar groups, but it's a great group to join, talk about kayaking and fishing along the Texas coast. Also 4A Printing. Thanks again, Aaron, for joining us. He was on the chat. Aaron, again, I need to talk with you to get the towels because I ordered them and I haven't picked them up yet. Sorry about that. If you're looking for custom merch such as towels, shirts, or anything like that, he can do that for you. So reach out to him. Also, Knock and Tail Lures. It's our soft plastic that Merriel and I use. It's a great lure, great for trout, redfish, and flounder. If you want to go order them, go to knockintaillures.com. That's knockintaillures.com. And so thanks again, Kyle, for joining us.
Yeah.
Merriel, thanks for joining us as well. We
Thanks
try
for
to go
having me.
live every other Tuesday. So go join us at facebook.com/One Last Cast Podcast. We're also live on Facebook. YouTube as well. So thanks again, everybody, and y'all have a good one.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Take care.